The Neon Pulse was the kind of bar where dreams went to get drunk, and bad decisions got a VIP pass. Tucked in the heart of the city, its walls pulsed with bass-heavy EDM, the air thick with the smell of craft beer, expensive cologne, and a faint whiff of regret. Neon lights bled red and blue across the crowd-rich kids, wannabe influencers, and the occasional suit who'd wandered too far from downtown. The bartenders slung drinks like they were dealing cards, and the dance floor was a sweaty mess of bodies grinding to a beat that never stopped. Jace, the jackpot Malone, was right at home. At 32, he was the guy everyone knew, but nobody really knew. A tech millionaire who'd turned a gambling app into a gold mine. Jace lived like he was racing the devil to the bottom of a bottle. His dark hair was a calculated mess, his black button-down untucked just enough to say, "I don't give a fuck," and his hazel eyes sparkled with the kind of charm that could sell ice to a penguin. Tonight, though, that sparkle was dim. His business partner had just fucked him over, siphoning millions from their company, leaving Jace to clean up the mess. The tabloids were having a field day, calling him a has-been playboy at the ripe old age of 32. He was 3 bourbons deep, surrounded by his usual crew of yes-men, when he decided to do something stupid. "Yo, Rico," Jace slurred, leaning over the booth where his best friend, a lanky DJ with a fade and a shit-eating grin, was scrolling through his phone. "Bet you I can get any girl in this place to fall for me in 10 minutes flat." Rico snorted, not even looking up. "Man, you're so full of shit. Your game's been trash since that influencer chick dumped you on Insta Live." The table erupted in laughter, and Jace, never one to back down, slammed his glass down. "A grand says I can. Pick a girl, any girl." Rico's eyes scanned the bar, landing on a figure weaving through the crowd. "Her," he said, pointing, "the one who looks like she'd rather be anywhere else." Jace followed his gaze and froze. She wasn't like the usual Neon Pulse crowd. No glittery dress, no fake lashes, just a black woman in a faded gray hoodie, ripped jeans, and scuffed-up sneakers. Her tight curls were pulled into a messy bun, and she carried a to-go coffee cup like it was a damn shield. Talia Brooks, 28, was only here because her boss at Brood Awakening had begged her to deliver a latte to some VIP asshole who couldn't wait. She was bone-tired, her feet aching from a double shift, her mind on the hospital bill for her mom's chemo that was due next week. The last thing she needed was some drunk rich guy in her face. Jace, oblivious, straightened his collar and swaggered over, his crew hooting behind him. Talia was handing the coffee to a guy in a suit when Jace slid in, leaning against the bar with a smirk. "Yo, sweetheart, you ever dated a guy who could buy you the moon?" Talia didn't even glance at him. "Nah, but I've met plenty of assholes who think they can buy me. Next." The suit guy choked on his drink, and a few heads turned. Jace blinked, caught off guard, but his ego was too big to quit. "Come on, don't be like that. I'm Jace Malone. You know, the guy who made betting apps cool. I could make your night." Talia finally looked at him, her brown eyes sharp enough to cut glass. "Oh, you're that guy? The one who got caught with his pants down at a yacht party? Hard pass." The crowd around them oohed, and Rico, watching from the booth, cackled so loud he nearly fell over. Jace's face flushed, but he doubled down, leaning closer. "Look, I'm just saying, you're too fine to be slinging coffee in a dump like this. Let me take you somewhere nice." Talia stepped back, crossing her arms. "Listen, Jackpot, I'm here to pay my mom's hospital bills, not stroke your ego. You want to help? Write a check and fuck off." The bar exploded. People were whispering, laughing, pulling out phones to record. Jace's crew was losing it, and Rico was straight up howling. "Yo, she roasted your ass," he yelled. Jace, though, wasn't mad. He was intrigued. This chick wasn't playing his game, and for the first time in forever, he felt alive. All right, Jace said, raising his hands like he was surrendering. "You got balls, I'll give you that, but let's make it interesting." He turned to the crowd, milking the moment. $1 million, right now, if you agree to be my girl for a month. No strings, just play along. Make me look good. What day I say?" The room went dead quiet. Talia's jaw dropped, but only for a second. $1 million? That could clear her mom's debt, pay for chemo, maybe even get her little sister, Amara, back in art classes. But this guy, he was trouble with a capital T. She narrowed her eyes, stepping closer until they were nose to nose. You think I'm some kind of toy you can buy? I ain't your damn trophy. Jace grinned, unfazed. Not a trophy, a partner. 1 month, you play my girlfriend, smile for the cameras, shut up the tabloids calling me a washed-up fuckboy. Deal? Talia's mind raced. She thought of her mom, Diane, coughing in that sterile hospital bed, the way Amara's eyes lit up when she talked about painting. She thought of the eviction notice taped to her apartment door. She hated this guy's guts, but $1 million wasn't just money, it was survival. Fine, she said, her voice low and deadly. But if you try any shady shit, I'll make you wish you never met me. Deal? Jace extended a hand, his smirk wider than ever. Deal. The crowd erupted again, cheers and whistles filling the air. Talia shook his hand, her grip tight enough to make him wince. Rico jogged over, slapping Jace on the back. Man, you're either a genius or fucked, I can't tell. Talia grabbed her empty coffee tray and headed for the door, tossing over her shoulder. See you tomorrow, jackpot. Don't make me regret this. As she disappeared into the night, Jace stood there, bourbon in hand, heart pounding like he'd just won the biggest bet of his life. But deep down, he knew this wasn't a game he could control. The next night, Talia showed up at Jace's loft, a sleek spot above a jazz club that smelled like cedar and whiskey. The place was all exposed brick, leather couches, and a bar stacked with bottles she'd never afford. Jace was sprawled on the couch, scrolling through his phone, when she walked in, still in her hoodie and jeans. Yo, you live like this? Talia said, eyeing the floor-to-ceiling windows with a view of the city skyline. This is some rich people bullshit. Jace chuckled, tossing his phone aside. Welcome to my bullshit. You want a drink? I want the contract, she shot back, crossing her arms. No funny business, jackpot. Lay it out. He pulled a folder from the coffee table, sliding it over. 1 month. You play my girlfriend, public events, photos, the whole deal. No sex, no creepy shit. Just act like you don't hate my guts. $1 million, wired to your account when we're done. Talia flipped through the pages, her eyes scanning every line. She wasn't dumb. She'd dropped out of college to take care of her mom, but she'd been pre-law before life kicked her in the teeth. This says I gotta move in here. Hell no. Jace raised an eyebrow. You want to sell the story? We gotta make it real. Paparazzi don't buy long-distance relationships. She glared at him. I got a mom in the hospital and a sister who needs me. I ain't your live-in Barbie. Bring 'em here, Jace said, leaning forward. I'll cover the hospital bills. Get your sister a tutor, whatever. I'm not a total asshole. Talia laughed, sharp and bitter. Oh, you're a saint now? What's the catch? No catch, he said, and for once, his voice was serious. I need this, Talia. The world thinks I'm a joke. You help me fix that. I'll make sure your family's good. Win, win. She studied him, trying to read the guy behind the smirk. He was a mess cocky, reckless, probably half-drunk, but there was something in his eyes, a flicker of desperation that hit her harder than she expected. She thought of her mom's tired smile, the way Amara hid her paintbrushes because they couldn't afford new ones. She sighed, grabbing a pen. Fine, she said, signing the contract. But I'm keeping my own room, and if you step out of line, I'm gone. You hear me? Loud and clear, Jace said, raising his glass. To the worst fake couple in history. Talia rolled her eyes but clinked her water bottle against his bourbon. To you not fucking this up. The first few days were a shit show. Jace dragged Talia to a fancy dinner with investors, where she promptly called the steak overpriced leather and asked the waiter for ketchup, making Jace choke on his wine. He got her back by blasting trap music at 7 a.m., knowing she hated mornings. They bickered like siblings, but there was a spark every time she roasted him. He laughed harder, and every time he pushed her buttons, she pushed back twice as hard. One night, they were stuck in his loft, rain hammering the windows. Jace was nursing a beer. Talia was sketching Amara's face on a napkin. The silence was weirdly comfortable, like they'd known each other longer than a week. "So," Jace said, breaking the quiet, "why you doing this? I mean, besides the money?" Talia didn't look up. "My mom's got cancer. My sister's 12 and thinks she's gotta grow up fast. That $1,000,000, it's not just cash. It's their lives." Jace nodded, staring at his beer. "Fair. I'm just trying to keep my name from being dragged through the mud. Again." She snorted. "Maybe stop acting like a dumbass, and you wouldn't have to." He laughed, real and loud. "You don't pull punches, huh?" "Nope," she said, finally meeting his eyes. "You want fake, hire someone else. I'm real, jackpot. Deal with it." He held her gaze, something shifting in the air. "I'm starting to think that's why I picked you." Talia didn't reply, but her lips twitched, almost a smile. Outside, the rain kept falling, and inside, something was starting to build, something neither of them was ready to name. "Yo, what's good, fam?" That's just the start of Jace and Talia's wild ride, and trust me, it's about to get crazy. Will these two keep roasting each other, or is something deeper brewing? If you're vibing with this, smash that subscribe button and drop a comment. Who's your fave so far, Jace with his slick talk or Talia with her zero bullshit attitude? Let's keep this party going. The Grand Opal Ballroom was the kind of place that screamed money. Crystal chandeliers hung like frozen fireworks, casting glimmers over tables draped in silk. Waiters in bow ties glided through the crowd, balancing trays of champagne and tiny food that looked too pretty to eat. The air smelled of perfume, cigar smoke, and the faint arrogance of people who'd never known a bad day. This was Jace Malone's world, a playground for the elite, where deals were made over handshakes and egos were fed with flattery. Tonight, though, he wasn't here to charm investors or dodge paparazzi. He was here to debut his girlfriend, Talia Brooks, and shut up the tabloids that had been dragging his name through the dirt. Jace adjusted his cufflinks, his black tux fitting like a second skin. He stood near the bar, scanning the room for Talia. She'd been holed up in his loft's guest room for hours, getting ready with some stylist he'd hired. He wasn't sure what to expect. Talia wasn't exactly the ball gown type. But when she stepped through the arched doorway, his jaw damn near hit the floor. Talia looked like she'd walked out of a dream. The deep emerald dress hugged her curves, its slit showing just enough leg to turn heads. Her curls were loose, cascading over her shoulders, and her brown skin glowed under the chandelier light. She didn't glide like the other women here. She moved with purpose, her sneakers swapped for heels she clearly hated. Her eyes locked on Jace, and she smirked, like she knew exactly how much she was fucking up his brain. "Yo, jackpot," she said, sauntering over. "You clean up nice. Almost forgot you're a walking disaster." Jace grinned, handing her a champagne flute. "And you look like you're about to rob this place blind. Ready to play the part?" Talia took the glass but didn't drink. "I'm here, ain't I? But don't expect me to kiss ass like these clowns." "Wouldn't dream of it," he said, leaning closer. "Just smile, nod, and don't punch anyone. We're selling love, not war." She rolled her eyes. "Love my ass. Let's get this circus over with." The night started smooth enough. Jace introduced Talia to a parade of suit CEOs, hedge fund bros, a crypto guru who wouldn't shut up about blockchain. Talia played along, flashing a smile that didn't reach her eyes, but she wasn't built for this world, and it showed. When a waiter offered her a plate of caviar, she scrunched her nose. "This shit tastes like salty regret. Y'all really eat this?" The table went quiet, then burst into awkward laughter. Jace coughed into his drink, torn between embarrassment and admiration. "She's kidding," he said, nudging her. "Talia's got unique taste." "Damn right," she muttered, grabbing a bread roll instead. "This is food. That's bait." The crypto guy, a slick dude named Brent, leaned forward with a smirk. "So, Talia, how'd a girl like you land Jace Malone? He's not exactly the settling down type." Talia didn't miss a beat. "Oh, I didn't land him. I just keep him in line. Somebody's gotta." Brent's smirk faltered, and Jace bit back a laugh. This chick was a goddamn force. He slipped an arm around her waist, playing up the boyfriend act. "She's not wrong. I'm a handful. More like a train wreck," Talia said under her breath. but she didn't pull away. His touch sent a spark through her, one she wasn't ready to deal with. She focused on the room instead, the fake laughs, the diamond necklaces, the way everyone watched her like she was an exhibit. She hated it, but for her mom, for Amara, she'd play this game. Things got wild when the band switched to a pop cover and the dance floor filled up. Jace, feeling bold after a second whiskey, grabbed Talia's hand. "Come on, let's give 'em a show." Talia yanked her hand back. "You dance? Bullshit. Bet I can keep up," he said, winking. "Unless you're scared." Her eyes narrowed. "Oh, you're on. Jackpot." They hit the floor, and Talia didn't hold back. She moved like she was born for ithips, swaying, feet quick, her body catching the beat like it was part of her. Jace tried to match her, but his stiff-ass moves were no match for her flow. The crowd started circling, clapping as Talia spun and dipped, her dress catching the light. She grabbed Jace's tie, pulling him close, and whispered, "Step it up or sit it out." Jace, red-faced but grinning, gave it his all, throwing in a goofy two-step that made her laugh so hard she nearly tripped. "You're a damn clown," she shouted over the music. "And you're stealing my spotlight." He shot back, spinning her. The room was eating it, up phones out, flashes popping. For a moment, they weren't fake. They were just Jace and Talia, lost in the rhythm, laughing like they'd known each other forever. Then she took it up a notch. Talia broke away, beckoning the crowd to join her. "Y'all too bougie for this? Let's move." She started a hip-hop routine, simple but infectious, and soon half the room was trying to keep up, suits and all. Even Brent, the crypto asshole, was flailing like a drunk uncle at a wedding. Jace stood back, watching her command the room, and felt something he hadn't in years. Pride. Not for himself, but for her. The high didn't last. After the dance, Jace pulled Talia to a quiet corner to catch their breath. Rico, his DJ buddy, swaggered over, a blunt behind his ear, and a grin that spelled trouble. "Yo, Talia, you're a fucking legend out there." "Jace, you sure you can handle this one?" "Handle me," Talia said, raising an eyebrow. "He's lucky I don't bench press his ego." Rico cackled, slapping Jace's shoulder. "Man, I like her. She's not like your usual arm candy." Jace, buzzed and loose, smirked. "Nah, she's just a fun side quest. Keeps things interesting." Talia froze. The words hit like a slap. Side quest? After all the bullshit she'd put up with his world, his rules, his spotlight, she was just a game to him. Her chest tightened, but she kept her face neutral. "Good to know," she said, her voice ice cold. "I'll be at the bar." She walked off, leaving Jace confused, and Rico wincing. "Bro, you fucked up," Rico said, shaking his head. "That girl's not here for your games." "What? It was a joke," Jace protested, but his stomach sank. He'd seen the hurt in her eyes, and for once, he felt like the asshole everyone said he was. Talia leaned against the bar, gripping a water glass so tight her knuckles ached. The bartender, a guy with tattoos creeping up his neck, slid her a shot of tequila. "On the house," he said. "You look like you need it." "Preach," she muttered, downing it in one go. The burn didn't help. She wasn't just mad at Jace, was mad at herself. She'd let her guard down, let herself enjoy the night, the dance, the way his arm felt around her. And for what? To be his fun side quest? Fuck that. She was about to leave when Jace appeared, his tie loose, his face a mix of guilt and panic. "Talia, hold up. Can we talk?" "Talk?" she snapped, turning to face him. The crowd nearby went quiet, sensing drama. "You want to talk now, Jackpot? After calling me your little fucking game in front of your boy?" "It wasn't like that," he said, stepping closer. "I was just shit. I was being dumb. I didn't mean it." "Didn't mean it?" Her voice rose, drawing eyes. "You think I'm here for shits and giggles? I'm busting my ass, smiling for your rich-ass friends, pretending I give a damn about your image, and you call me a side quest? I'm here for my mom, Jace, my sister, not to be your goddamn entertainment." The room felt smaller, the air thick with tension. Jace's jaw clenched, his usual charm gone. I know why you're here, he said, quieter now. And I'm sorry. I'm a fuck-up, okay? But I need you. This deal, this night, it's all to keep my company from tanking. I didn't mean to hurt you. Talia laughed, sharp and bitter. You need me? That's rich. You don't even know me. You know what? Keep your million. I'm done. She shoved past him, her heels clicking on the marble floor. The crowd parted, whispering, phones still recording. Jace stood there, rooted, his heart pounding like he'd just lost something he didn't even know he had. Rico appeared at his side, shaking his head. Told you, man. You fucked up big. Talia stormed out into the night, the city air cool against her skin. Her phone buzzed Monique, her sister, texting. How's the fancy party? You slayin'? Talia's eyes stung, but she didn't cry. She'd learned long ago that tears didn't pay bills. She thought of her mom, Diane, in that hospital bed, telling her to keep fighting, baby. She thought of Amara sketching in their cramped apartment, dreaming of art school. She'd signed Jace's contract for them, not for herself. But standing here, in a dress that wasn't hers, in a world that didn't want her, she felt smaller than ever. Back inside, Jace sank into a chair, ignoring the stares. Brent, the crypto dick, sidled up with a smirk. Trouble in paradise, Malone. Told you she was out of your league. Fuck off, Brent, Jace muttered, draining his whiskey. He didn't care about the deal anymore, or the cameras, or his image. He cared about the way Talia's laugh had lit up the room, the way she'd danced like no one was watching, the way she'd looked at him like he could be more than a fuckboy. He'd screwed it up, and for the first time in years he wanted to fix something not for his ego but for her. He pulled out his phone, texting Rico. Find her. I need to make this right. The city never slept, but Talia Brooks sure as hell wished it would. After storming out of the Grand Opal ballroom, she ditched the emerald dress for her old hoodie and jeans, the heels swapped for sneakers that knew her better than anyone. The night air was crisp, biting at her cheeks as she leaned against a street lamp, her breath fogging in the glow. Her phone buzzed Monique, her sister, again. You good, T? Spill the tea. Talia ignored it. She wasn't good. She was pissed, humiliated, and worst of all, hurt. Jace's side quest comment had cut deeper than she'd let on, and the fact that she'd even cared made her want to scream. She'd signed up for his $1 million deal to save her mom, not to catch feelings for some rich asshole who played people like poker chips. Her apartment was a 30-minute bus ride away, a cramped one-bedroom she shared with her mom, Diane, and her little sister, Amara. The hospital bills were stacked on the kitchen counter, next to Amara's half-finished sketches and Diane's pill bottles. Talia had thought the contract with Jace would fix it all, clear the debt, get her mom's chemo paid, give Amara a shot at something better. But now, she wasn't sure she could stomach another day in his world, smiling for cameras while he treated her like a prop. She was halfway to the bus stop when her phone lit up with a call from Jace. She let it go to voicemail, then blocked his number for good measure. Fuck you, jackpot, she muttered, shoving her hands in her pockets. The city roared around her honking cabs, drunk laughter, a distant siren. She felt small, but she'd be damned if she let that show. Back at the ballroom, Jace Malone was a mess. He ditched the tux jacket, his tie hanging loose like a noose. The party was still raging, music thumping, champagne flowing, but he was done. Rico, his DJ buddy, was sprawled in a booth, scrolling through Twitter, when Jace slumped down next to him. She blocked me, Jace said, staring at his phone, like it had betrayed him. She fucking blocked me. Rico didn't look up. Can you blame her? You called her a side quest, bro. That's some next-level dumbassery. I was buzzed. It was a joke. Jace ran a hand through his hair, his voice cracking. She's blowing it way out of proportion. Rico finally glanced at him, one eyebrow raised. Nah, you fucked up. That girl's not here for your bullshit. She's got real shit family, bills, a mom who's sick. You think she's gonna laugh off your rich boy jokes? Jace groaned, leaning back. I didn't mean it like that. She's different, man. She doesn't kiss my ass, doesn't care about my money. I like that. Then tell her, dumbass, Rico said, tossing a peanut at him. And not with some flashy gift or a check. She ain't that kind of girl. Jace nodded, but his gut twisted. He'd spent years building a life where money fixed everything. Lawsuits, breakups, bad press. But Talia, she didn't want his cash. She wanted respect, and he'd thrown that out the window with one stupid comment. He grabbed his phone, texting his assistant, "Hire a PR team. I need to make this right." The next morning, Talia woke to chaos. Her phone was blowing up texts from Monique, missed calls from unknown numbers, and a notification from a gossip site that made her stomach drop. The headline screamed, "Jace Malone's mystery girl, gold digger, or hired help." Below it was a blurry photo from the ballroom, Talia, in that emerald dress, Jace's arm around her. The article was pure trash, calling her a barista with a side hustle in seduction, claiming she'd trapped Jace for his millions. Twitter was worse. Jace Malone hustled was trending, with memes of Talia as a cartoon vixen, dollar signs in her eyes. She sat on the edge of her bed, her hands shaking. Amara was still asleep, curled up on the couch with her sketchbook. Diane was at the hospital for another round of chemo. Thank God she didn't need to see this. But Talia knew it was only a matter of time. Her mom was old school, proud, the kind of woman who'd raised Talia to never sell your soul. This would break her. Monique burst through the door, her nurse scrubs wrinkled from a night shift. "T, what the hell is going on? You're all over the internet. People at the hospital are talking." Talia tossed her phone on the bed. "It's that asshole, Jace. I told you this deal was a bad idea." Monique grabbed the phone, scrolling through the article. "Damn, they're calling you a hustler? That's some bold-ass lies." She paused, her voice softening. "You okay, sis?" "No," Talia admitted, her throat tight. "I thought I could handle this world, his bullshit. But this, it's too much." Monique sat next to her, pulling her into a hug. "You're doing this for Mama, for Amara. You're stronger than this noise. But you gotta decide, is that million worth it?" Talia didn't answer. She didn't know anymore. By noon, the scandal was everywhere. Paparazzi were camped outside Jace's loft, and Talia's coffee shop was swarmed with creeps asking for the gold digger special. She called in sick, hiding out at the hospital with her mom. Diane was in a recliner, an IV dripping chemo, her face tired but warm. "Hey, baby," she said, patting Talia's hand. "You look like you're carrying the world." Talia forced a smile. "Just a rough day, Mama. How you feeling?" "Like I could run a marathon," Diane joked, then coughed. "What's wrong, T? Don't lie to me." Before Talia could answer, Diane's eyes flicked to the television in the corner. A gossip channel was on, muted, but the screen showed that damn ballroom photo with a chyron. Jace Malone's paid paramour. Diane's face fell. "Talia, is that you?" Talia's heart stopped. "Mama, it's not what it looks like. You're with that Malone boy." Diane's voice was sharp, hurt. "The one in the papers throwing money around like it's candy? What are you doing, baby?" "It's a job," Talia said, her voice breaking. "I'm pretending to be his girlfriend to pay your bills. I didn't want you to worry." Diane shook her head, tears welling. "I'd rather die than see you sell yourself like this. You're worth more than his money, Talia." The words hit like a punch. Talia stood, her eyes burning. "I'm doing this for you, Mama, for Amara. I don't have a choice." "You always have a choice," Diane said, softer now. "Don't lose yourself for me." Talia couldn't stay. She mumbled an excuse and bolted, her sneakers pounding the hospital's linoleum halls. Outside, the city was gray, the air heavy with coming rain. She sank onto a bench, her face in her hands. She'd thought she could play Jace's game, keep her head high, but now her mom thought she was a sellout, and the world thought she was a whore. She was done. Jace, meanwhile, was in damage control mode. His loft was a war room. His assistant, a no-nonsense woman named Carla, was on the phone with a PR firm, while Rico lounged on the couch, eating Cheetos and offering zero help. "Yo, this is some soap opera shit," Rico said, licking orange dust off his fingers. "You gonna fix it or what?" "I'm trying," Jace snapped, pacing. "I got a team killing that article, and I'm suing the outlet for defamation, but Talia won't answer my calls." 'Cause you fucked her over, Rico said, shrugging. You gotta show her you're not just a rich dick. Jace stopped, his jaw tight. He'd spent the night replaying the ballroom, Talia's laugh on the dance floor, the fire in her eyes when she'd called him out. He didn't just want her back for the contract, he wanted her back because she made him feel something real, something he hadn't felt since he was a kid scraping by in a shitty apartment with no heat. He grabbed his keys. I'm going to find her. Rico raised an eyebrow. You know where she's at? Hospital, Jace said. She's always talking about her mom. I'll start there. Rico whistled. Ballsy. Don't get your ass kicked. The hospital smelled like antiseptic and bad coffee, the kind of place that made you feel sicker just walking in. Jace, in jeans and a hoodie to avoid attention, navigated the maze of halls until he found the oncology ward. He spotted Talia through a glass door sitting by her mom's bedside, her head bowed. Diane was asleep, an IV in her arm, her face pale but peaceful. Jace hesitated, his heart pounding. He'd faced boardrooms, lawsuits, even a bar fight once. But this scared the shit out of him. He knocked softly. Talia's head snapped up, her eyes narrowing when she saw him. She stepped outside, closing the door behind her. What the hell are you doing here? She hissed. I came to apologize, Jace said, hands in his pockets. For the ballroom, for the article, for all of it. I'm handling the press. It'll be gone by tomorrow. Talia crossed her arms. You think that fixes this? My mom saw that shit, Jace. She thinks I'm some kinda hooker. You know what that feels like? Jace winced. I didn't know it'd blow up like this. I'm sorry, Talia. I was a dumbass and I hurt you. But I'm here now, and I want to make it right. She laughed, cold and sharp. Right? You dragged me into your fucked up world, and now I'm the one paying for it. You don't get to swoop in and play hero. I'm not, he said, stepping closer. But I see you, Talia. You're doing this for your family, and that's realer than anything in my life. Let me help. Not with money, with this. He gestured to the hospital, to her. Let me show you I'm not the asshole you think I am. Talia studied him, her eyes searching for a lie. She saw something else instead, guilt, yes, but also a rawness she hadn't expected. She thought of her mom's words. You always have a choice. She could walk away, keep her pride, but what about the bills? What about Amara? And, if she was honest, what about the part of her that wanted to believe Jace could be more than a fuckboy? Fine, she said, her voice low. But you're coming in there. She nodded to the room. You're gonna meet my mom, and you're gonna prove you're not the piece of shit she thinks you are. One wrong move and I'm out. Got it? Jace swallowed, nodding. Got it. She opened the door, and he followed, his heart in his throat. Diane's eyes fluttered open, locking on Jace with a mix of suspicion and exhaustion. So, she said, her voice weak but sharp, you're the one turning my daughter's life into a circus. Jace forced a smile, sitting across from her. Yes, ma'am, and I'm here to apologize for it. Talia stood by the door, arms crossed, watching. This was his test, and God help him if he failed. The hospital room was quiet, except for the soft beep of Diane's heart monitor. Talia stood by the door, arms crossed, her eyes flicking between her mom and Jace Malone, who was sitting across from Diane like a kid about to get grounded. Jace, usually all swagger and smirks, looked out of place in his hoodie and jeans, his hands fidgeting with the edge of his sleeve. Diane, despite the chemo draining her, had a gaze that could cut through bullshit like a hot knife. She wasn't letting him off easy. So, Diane said, her voice raspy but firm, you're the one who's got my daughter mixed up in this mess. Tell me why I shouldn't tell her to walk away right now. Jace cleared his throat, glancing at Talia. She didn't move, didn't help him out. This was his test, and she was done holding his hand. Mrs. Brooks, he started. I screwed up. Big time. I dragged Talia into my world without thinking about what it'd cost her. That article, the rumors it's my fault. I'm fixing it, I swear. But more than that, I'm here because I respect your daughter. She's real and I'm not used to that. I don't want to lose her. Diane raised an eyebrow, unimpressed. Respect? Boy, you got a funny way of showing it. You think throwing money at her makes you a hero? No, ma'am, Jace said, his voice steady. Money's easy. What's hard is owning up to being a dumbass. I'm trying to do that now. Talia's lips twitched, but she kept her face neutral. Diane studied Jace, then turned to Talia. Baby, you trust this man? Talia hesitated, her chest tight. Did she? Jace had fucked up, called her a side quest. Let the press tear her apart, but he was here, in this sterile room, facing her mom's wrath. That wasn't nothing. I don't know yet, she said finally, but I'm giving him a chance to prove he's not a total asshole. Diane sighed, leaning back. All right, but you hurt my girl again, Malone, and I'll haunt you from the grave. Jace managed a small smile. Fair enough, ma'am. Talia exhaled, the tension in her shoulders easing just a fraction. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was a start. The next week was a tightrope walk. Talia moved back into Jace's loft, but only because the paparazzi had turned her apartment into a circus. She kept to the guest room, her door locked, her vibe screaming, Don't test me. Jace, for once, didn't push. He was busy putting out fires. She's PR team had buried the gossip article, and he'd paid a small fortune to scrub the worst of the memes from Twitter. But he knew Talia wasn't impressed by his checkbook. If he wanted her trust, he'd have to earn it the hard way. Their days fell into a weird rhythm. Talia spent mornings at the hospital with Diane, afternoons at the coffee shop when she could dodge the creeps, and evenings in the loft, sketching or reading while Jace worked on his laptop. He'd stopped going to clubs, which surprised her. No late-night benders, no random girls blowing up his phone. He was still a cocky bastard, but he was trying, and she noticed. One afternoon, Jace caught her off guard. She was in the loft's kitchen making tea when he walked in with a flyer. Yo, what's this? He asked, holding up a crumpled paper about a community dance workshop. You a secret ballerina or some shit? Talia snatched the flyer, her cheeks warm. None of your business, jackpot. Why you snooping? Found it on the counter, he said, leaning against the fridge. Says you're teaching hip-hop and Vogue. That's dope. Why didn't you tell me? She shrugged, stirring her tea. Didn't think you'd care. You're more into bottle service than dance battles. Jace grinned, undeterred. Bet I'd smoke you on the floor. Let me come to your class. Talia laughed, real and loud. You? Dancing? You barely survived that ballroom shit. Challenge accepted, he said, crossing his arms. Tomorrow. I'm there. Don't cry when I outshine you. She rolled her eyes but couldn't hide her smile. Bring sneakers, dumbass. You're gonna eat those words. The dance studio was a world away from Jace's glitzy life. Tucked in a gritty corner of the city, it had scuffed wood floors, mirrors smudged with fingerprints, and a sound system that crackled, but still pumped out R&B like nobody's business. Talia's class was a mix of kids from the neighborhood teens with big dreams and bigger attitudes, plus a few adults who just wanted to move. She was in her element, her curls tied back, her tank top and leggings showing off every line of her strength. When she taught, she wasn't Jace's fake girlfriend or the tabloid's punching bag. She was Talia, the girl who'd once dreamed of choreographing for Beyoncé before life got in the way. Jace showed up in a black tee and sweats, looking like he'd Googled, "What do dancers wear?" and still got it wrong. The kids snickered as he walked in, and one, a lanky teen named Dre, called out, "Yo, who's this wannabe Drake?" "That's Jace," Talia said, smirking. "He thinks he can hang. Y'all gonna show him up?" "Hell yeah." Dre high-fived his friend, and the room buzzed with energy. Talia started the class with a warm-up, her voice sharp but warm. "All right, let's move. Keep it tight, keep it clean. Dre, stop half-assing it." The kids laughed, following her lead as she broke down a Vogue routine, sharp angles, quick dips, all attitude. Jace tried to keep up, but his arms flailed like he was swatting bees. The class lost it, and Talia had to stop, doubling over with laughter. "God damn, jackpot," she gasped, wiping her eyes. "You're a hazard." "I'm trying," Jace protested, red-faced but grinning. "This shit's harder than it looks." "Try harder," Dre yelled, and the kids cheered. Talia took pity on him, pulling him to the side. "Look, It's about flow, not force. Watch me. She hit a pose, her body snapping into place like a whip, then flowed into a dip, her eyes locked on his. Feel the beat, not just hear it. Now, you. Jace mimicked her, clumsy but game. He stumbled, nearly knocking over a speaker, and the class roared again. Yo, he's gonna break the floor, Dre shouted. But Jace didn't quit. By the end of the hour, he'd nailed a basic step, and the kids gave him a grudging clap. Not bad for a rookie, Talia said, tossing him a water bottle. You didn't totally embarrass me. High praise, Jace panted, chugging the water. You're a beast, though. How'd you learn this? She shrugged, wiping sweat from her brow. Grew up dancing. Wanted to go pro, but life, you know. Mom got sick. Money got tight. This is what I got left. Jace nodded, his usual smirk gone. You're good, Talia. Like really good. You should be on a stage, not slinging coffee. She looked at him, surprised by the sincerity. Yeah, well, dreams don't pay bills. Let's clean up. They stayed late, stacking mats and wiping mirrors. The studio quiet except for the hum of the city outside. Jace watched her move, the way she carried herself like she was still dancing, even now. He wanted to know more, not just the girl who roasted him, but the one who'd given up her dreams for her family. He didn't know how to ask, so he just kept wiping the same spot until she laughed. Yo, you're gonna rub a hole in that mirror, she said, nudging him. What's up with you? Just thinking, he said, tossing the rag. You make this look easy. Teaching, dancing, all of it. I don't know how you do it. Talia shrugged, but her eyes softened. You just do what you gotta do. Like you, right? Building your app, dealing with all that rich people drama. He snorted. Yeah, but I fucked it up half the time. You're solid. I respect that. She held his gaze, the air shifting. Careful, jackpot. That almost sounded like a compliment. It was, he said, stepping closer. I'm not always a dick, you know. Coulda fooled me, she teased, but she didn't move away. The real shift came a few nights later. Jace had a charity gala to attend, another dog and pony show for his investors, but a storm rolled in, grounding flights and canceling the event. He and Talia were stuck in his loft. The city blurred behind rain-streaked windows. The power flickered, casting the room in a soft glow from the emergency lights. Talia was on the couch, sketching Amara's face again, her pencil scratching softly. Jace was sprawled on the floor, flipping through a takeout menu. Pizza or Thai? He asked, tossing the menu her way. Thai, she said without looking up. And don't get that spicy shit you like. My stomach ain't built for it. He laughed, ordering on his phone. You're no fun, says the guy who almost burned his kitchen making toast. She shot back, smirking. Low blow, he said, clutching his chest. I'm a visionary, not a chef. They kept going, trading jabs like it was a sport. The food arrived, and they ate on the floor, passing containers of pad thai and mango sticky rice. The rain was relentless, drumming the windows, and the loft felt smaller, warmer. Jace cracked open a beer, offering her one. She took it, clinking her bottle against his. To surviving your cooking, she said, grinning. To surviving you, he countered, and they both laughed. The conversation drifted. Jace told her about growing up in a shitty apartment, his mom working double shifts to keep the lights on. I was a hustler, he said, leaning back. Sold fake Jordans in high school, got my ass beat for it, but it taught me how to play the game. Talia nodded, sipping her beer. I get it. I used to sneak into dance classes 'cause we couldn't afford them. Got caught, but the teacher let me stay. Said I had fire. You still do, Jace said, his voice low. I saw it at the studio. You're a fucking star, Talia. She looked away, her cheeks warm. Stop, you're gonna make me soft. Too late, he teased, nudging her knee. I'm onto you. She shoved him playfully, and he caught her wrist, pulling her closer. The air changed, heavy with something unspoken. They were inches apart, her breath catching, his eyes locked on hers. The rain roared outside, but inside, it was just them. Talia, he said, his voice rough. I'm not good at this, but I don't want you to be just a deal. Not anymore. She swallowed, her heart pounding. Then what am I, Jace? He didn't answer with words. He leaned in, slow enough for her to pull away, but she didn't. Their lips met, and it was like a dam breaking hot, urgent, messy. His hands found her waist, pulling her onto his lap, her fingers digging into his shoulders. The kiss deepened, her nails grazing his neck, his tongue teasing hers. She tasted like mango and beer, and he was drowning in it. Her hoodie fell off one shoulder, his hands sliding under the fabric, tracing the curve of her back. She gasped into his mouth, pressing closer, her body saying what her words wouldn't. "Jace," she murmured, her voice a mix of want and warning. "This ain't the contract." "I know," he said, kissing her jaw, her neck. "I don't care. I want you. For real." She pulled back, her eyes searching his. "You mean that? 'Cause I'm not a game, Jace. I can't." "You're not," he said, cupping her face. "I'm scared as fuck, but I'm in, Talia, if you are." She didn't answer, not with words. She kissed him again, harder, her hands fisting his shirt. They were lost in it, the world fading, until her phone buzzed, loud and insistent. She froze, pulling away, her breath ragged. "Shit," she muttered, grabbing it. The screen showed Monique's name, and the text was all caps. "Mama's awake. Get here now." Talia scrambled up, her heart racing for a different reason. "I gotta go," she said, yanking her hoodie back on. "My mom." "I'm coming," Jace said, grabbing his keys. "No arguments." She nodded, too shaken to fight. They ran through the rain to his car, the moment between them hanging like a promise neither was ready to keep. The rain was a fucking monsoon, turning the city streets into rivers. Jace's black SUV cut through the downpour, wipers slapping like they were pissed off. Talia sat in the passenger seat, her hands clenched in her lap, her phone still glowing with Monique's text, "Mama's awake. Get here now." Her heart was doing backflips, torn between the hospital and the memory of Jace's lips on hers just minutes ago. That kiss shot, messy, real, had cracked something open in her, but now wasn't the time. Her mom needed her, and Talia wasn't about to let feelings fuck that up. Jace kept his eyes on the road, his knuckles white on the wheel. "She's gonna be okay," he said, his voice low. "Your mom's tough, like you." "Don't," Talia snapped, sharper than she meant. "Don't act like you know her." He glanced at her, jaw tight. "I'm just trying to help, Talia." She didn't reply, staring out the window at the blurred city lights. She wanted to believe him, wanted to lean into the warmth of his words, but trust was a luxury she couldn't afford. Not after the ballroom, the tabloids, the way her life had become a circus since she'd signed his damn contract. The hospital loomed ahead, its neon sign flickering through the rain. Talia was out the door before Jace could park, her sneakers splashing through puddles. Inside, the oncology ward was a fluorescent maze, all beeps and hushed voices. Monique was waiting outside Diane's room, her nurse scrubs damp from the storm. "Tea, thank God," she said, pulling Talia into a hug. "Mama had a scare, her blood pressure tanked, but she's stable now. Doc's with her." Talia's knees buckled, but she caught herself. "Can I see her?" "Yeah, but she's out of it," Monique said, glancing at Jace, who'd just caught up. "Who's this? Your millionaire side piece?" "Monique, not now," Talia groaned. "This is Jace. Jace, my sister." Jace nodded, offering a hand. "Hey, sorry about everything." Monique shook his hand, her eyes narrowing. "You the one who got tea on the front page? Better watch your ass, pretty boy." "Noted," Jace said, managing a weak smile. Talia pushed past them, slipping into Diane's room. Her mom was propped up in bed, an oxygen mask fogging with each breath. She looked smaller, frailer, but her eyes fluttered open when Talia took her hand. "Baby," Diane whispered, her voice barely there. "You okay?" Talia's throat burned. "I'm fine, Mama. You just rest, all right?" Diane squeezed her hand, then drifted back to sleep. Talia sat there, the weight of everything, bills, scandals, that damn kiss crashing down. She didn't notice Jace in the doorway, watching her with a look that wasn't cocky or slick, just raw. The next few days were a grind. Diane's condition stabilized, but the doctors warned she'd need surgery, soon a risky one that insurance wouldn't fully cover. Talia threw herself into work, picking up extra shifts at the coffee shop despite the lingering paparazzi. Jace kept his distance, sensing she needed space, but he didn't disappear. He sent food to the hospital for Monique and Amara, paid for a private nurse to check on Diane, and even showed up at Talia's dance class again, getting roasted by Dre and the kids but sticking it out. She hated how much she appreciated it. Then the other shoe dropped. Jace's company, Bet Savvy, was hit with a bombshell. A whistleblower leaked emails suggesting he'd rigged early betting algorithms to skirt regulations. The story broke on a Friday, plastered across every news site from CNBC to the shadiest blogs. Jace Malone, tech genius or crooked gambler. Stocks tanked, investors bailed, and Twitter was a war zone of number-cancel Jace memes. Worse, the leak hinted at a mastermind behind it, a rival named Vanessa Klein, a tech heiress with a vendetta against Jace since he'd outbid her on a merger years ago. Jace was in his loft, pacing like a caged animal, when Talia walked in after a shift. His laptop was open to a news feed, his phone buzzing nonstop. Rico was there, sprawled on the couch, trying to lighten the mood. "Yo, man, you're trending harder than a Kardashian breakup," he said, tossing a chip in his mouth. "Congrats?" "Fuck off, Rico," Jace muttered, slamming his phone down. He looked at Talia, his eyes bloodshot. "You see this shit?" "Yeah," she said, dropping her bag. "Sounds like you're in deep." "Deep ain't the word," he said, running a hand through his hair. "Vanessa's out for blood. She's got proof, real or fake, doesn't matter. My board's freaking, my team's jumping ship. I'm fucked." Talia crossed her arms, leaning against the counter. "So what? You gonna fight or just whine about it?" He glared at her, but there was no heat in it. "I'm fighting, but this ain't just about me. If Bet Savvy goes down, so does the money for your mom's surgery. I know you're counting on it." Her stomach twisted. She'd been trying to keep the contract separate from whatever was happening between them, but he was right. The $1 million was her lifeline. "Don't put that on me," she said, her voice low. "You made this mess, jackpot. Fix it." "I'm trying," he said, stepping closer. "But I need you with me, Talia, not just for the deal, for real." She looked away, her chest tight. "I don't know what real means with you anymore." Before he could reply, Rico's phone pinged. He sat up, eyes wide. Jace, you might want to see this." He held up a new article. Malone's Muse. Talia Brooks linked to betting scandal. It was pure garbage, claiming Talia was Jace's accomplice, using her sob story to distract from his crimes. The photo was from the ballroom, her in that emerald dress, looking like she owned the world. Now, it was twisted into a lie. Talia's hands shook as she read it. "This is bullshit," she whispered. "I didn't do anything." "I know," Jace said, his voice fierce. "It's Vanessa. She's hitting me where it hurts through you." Talia laughed, bitter and broken. "Great. So I'm collateral damage now? Fuck this, Jace. Fuck all of it." She grabbed her bag, heading for the door, but Jace caught her arm. "Don't run. We'll fight this together." She yanked free, her eyes blazing. "Together? You're the reason I'm in this shit. I should have never signed that contract." The words hit like a slap. Jace let go, his face pale. Rico stood, trying to defuse. "Yo, T, chill. Jace is an idiot, but he's got your back." "Stay out of it, Rico," she snapped and stormed out, the door slamming behind her. Talia didn't go home. She couldn't face Amara's questions or Monique's "I told you so." Instead, she ended up at the dance studio, the only place that still felt like hers. It was empty, the mirrors reflecting her exhaustion. She cranked the speakers, letting a slow SZA track fill the room, and danced not her usual sharp routines, but something raw, jagged, like she was fighting the world. Her body moved through the pain, the anger, the fear, until she collapsed on the floor, her breath ragged. That's where Vanessa found her. The woman was all sharp edges, blonde, polished, her designer coat out of place in the gritty studio. She clapped slowly, her heels clicking as she approached. "Impressive," Vanessa said, her voice dripping with condescension. You're wasted on Jace Malone. Talia stood, wiping sweat from her brow. Who the hell are you? Vanessa Klein, she said, offering a business card like it was a weapon. I'm the one who's about to bury your boyfriend, but I'm here to offer you a way out. Talia didn't take the card. I ain't interested in your games. It's not a game, Vanessa said, smirking. It's a deal. $5 million cash to walk away from Jace. You get your mom's surgery, your sister's future, and a clean slate. No more tabloids, no more scandals. All you have to do is disappear. Talia's blood ran cold. $5 million was more than she'd ever dreamed of, enough to fix everything, to give her family a life without fear. But it meant betraying Jace, leaving him to drown in Vanessa's trap. She thought of his face in the hospital, the way he'd sat with her mom, the kiss that had burned through her defenses. She hated him sometimes, but she didn't want to destroy him. You think I'm that cheap? Talia said, stepping closer. I don't sell my soul, lady. Not to Jace, and sure as hell not to you. Vanessa's smirk didn't waver. Think about it. You have until tomorrow. She dropped the card on the floor and walked out, her heels echoing like gunshots. Talia stared at the card, her hands shaking. She didn't pick it up. Jace was spiraling. He'd spent the day in meetings, trying to save Bet Savvy, but his board was ready to oust him, and the feds were sniffing around. He was back at the loft, 3 whiskeys deep, when Rico dragged him to a dive bar to clear his head. It didn't work. Jace was a mess, his usual charm buried under guilt and fear. I fucked it all up, he slurred, staring at his glass. Talia, the company, everything. Rico sighed, stealing a fry from Jace's untouched plate. Yeah, you're a hot mess, but you're not done. You gotta show Talia you're worth sticking around for. How? Jace said, his voice raw. She hates me. She don't, Rico said. She's pissed, but she's still here, ain't she? Fight for her, man. Not with money, with you. Jace didn't answer, but Rico's words stuck. He stumbled home, crashing on the couch, Talia's sketchbook open on the coffee table. He flipped through it, drawings of Amara, Diane, even him, laughing at the dance studio. He didn't deserve her, but he'd be damned if he let Vanessa take her away. Talia didn't sleep. She spent the night at the hospital, watching Diane breathe, thinking about Vanessa's offer. By morning, she was back at the loft, her eyes red but her resolve iron. Jace was awake, looking like shit, his hair a mess, his shirt wrinkled. He stood when he saw her, hope flickering in his eyes. Talia. Shut up, she said, dropping her bag. We need to talk. He nodded, bracing himself. Okay. Lay it on me. She took a deep breath, her voice steady. Vanessa came to me, offered me $5 million to ditch you. I told her to fuck off, but I'm not gonna let. It was tempting. My mom's dying, Jace. My sister's got nothing. And you? You keep dragging me into your shit. So tell me why I shouldn't walk. Jace's face crumpled, but he didn't look away. Because I'm a fuck-up, but I'm trying to be better. For you. I know I've messed up ballroom, the press, all of it. But I'm in this, Talia. Not for the contract, not for my image. For you. And I'll fight Vanessa, the board, the whole damn world to prove it. She laughed, sharp and tired. You want me to believe that? You're drowning, Jace. And I can't keep saving you if you keep breaking yourself. Then don't save me, he said, stepping closer. Just stay. Let me save myself, but don't leave me alone to do it. The room was quiet, the tension thick enough to choke on. Talia's eyes burned, her heart torn between running and staying. She thought of her mom's words. You always have a choice. She'd chosen to fight for her family, but maybe, just maybe, she could choose to fight for this, too. All right, she said finally, her voice barely above a whisper. But you fuck this up again, Jace, and I'm gone. For good. He nodded, relief flooding his face. I won't. I swear. They stood there, inches apart, the weight of their words settling. Then, without warning, Talia stepped forward, wrapping her arms around him. It wasn't a kiss, wasn't passion, just a quiet, desperate hug. Her face buried in his chest, his arms tight around her. He smelled like whiskey and regret, but his heartbeat was steady, grounding her. You're a mess, she mumbled into his shirt. Yeah. he said, his voice muffled in her hair. But I'm your mess. She pulled back, wiping her eyes, a small smile breaking through. Don't make me regret this. Jackpot. He cupped her face, his thumb brushing her cheek. I won't. The loft was a war zone of takeout boxes, coffee mugs, and laptops, the city skyline glowing through the rain-streaked windows. Jace Malone and Talia Brooks were hunched over a table, their eyes bloodshot, their voices hoarse from hours of arguing, planning, and surprisingly laughing. It had been 3 days since Talia had dropped the bomb about Vanessa Klein's $5 million offer, and instead of running, she'd stayed. Now, they were in the trenches together, fighting to save Jace's company, Talia's reputation, and whatever the hell was growing between them. Rico, the only one still functioning on more than caffeine and spite, was sprawled on the couch, his laptop open to a shady corner of the internet. Yo, I'm telling you, he said, crunching a Dorito. Vanessa's ass is dirty. Nobody pulls this kind of stunt without skeletons. We just gotta dig. Talia leaned back, rubbing her temples. Dig how? She's got money, lawyers, and a whole PR machine. We're just us. Us is enough, Jace said, his voice firm. He was a mess and shaven, in a wrinkled tee, his hair sticking up like he'd been electrocuted, but his eyes were sharp, focused. Vanessa thinks she's untouchable, but she's sloppy. Those leaked emails, they're too clean, too perfect. I'm betting she faked 'em. Talia raised an eyebrow. You sure that's not just your ego talking, Jackpot? 'Cause if you're wrong, we're fucked. He grinned, that cocky spark flickering back. I'm not wrong, and even if I am, I look good going down. She snorted, tossing a pen at him. You're an idiot. But I'm your idiot, he shot back, catching the pen and winking. Rico gagged. Y'all are gross. Can we focus before I puke? The plan was ballsy. Hack Vanessa's private server, find proof she'd fabricated the Bet-Savvy scandal, and flip the script before she could bury them. Rico, who'd dabbled in less than legal tech back in the day, was their secret weapon. I got a guy, he said, typing furiously. He owes me for some DJ gigs. If Vanessa's got dirt, we'll find it. Talia wasn't sold. This sounds like some hacker movie bullshit. What if we get caught? Then we're double fucked, Jace said, shrugging. But we're already halfway there, so why not go big? She stared at him, then laughed, real and raw. You're insane, you know that? Part of my charm, he said, leaning closer. Their knees brushed under the table, and for a second, the room felt smaller, the stakes higher. Talia pulled back, clearing her throat. They didn't have time for feelings, not yet. By midnight, Rico's guy came through. A zip file landed in his inbox, encrypted to hell and back, but Rico cracked it like it was a kid's diary. Inside were emails, financial records, and jackpot a chain of messages between Vanessa and a shady PR firm, detailing how they'd planted the Bet-Savvy leak and spun the gold digger story about Talia. One email even mentioned the $5 million bribe, with Vanessa bragging, she'll take it, girls like her always do. Talia read it, her jaw tight. This bitch, she muttered, her voice low and deadly. She thinks I'm some broke-ass pawn. Oh, we're ending her. Jace grinned, feeding off her fire. That's my girl. Rico, what's next? Rico cracked his knuckles. We leak this shit straight to the blogs, the feds, and every investor Vanessa's ever kissed up to. But we gotta move fast. She's got eyes everywhere. They spent the next hour crafting a plan. Rico would send the files anonymously to a tech journalist with a grudge against Vanessa, while Jace's PR team prepped a press conference to clear his name. Talia, meanwhile, insisted on a personal touch. I'm not just clearing my name, she said, her eyes blazing. I'm telling the world who I am. No more hiding. Jace looked at her, pride swelling in his chest. You sure? This'll put you front and center. Good, she said, crossing her arms. I'm done being your side quest. He winced, but his smile was soft. Never again, T, I swear. The press conference was set for noon at a sleek downtown hotel, the kind of place where power deals were made over overpriced coffee. Jace stood at the podium, his suit sharp, his face calm but fierce. Talia was beside him, in a simple black blazer and jeans, her curls loose, her chin high. The room was packed reporters, cameras, investors, and a few curious influencers live tweeting the drama. Rico was in the back, ready to drop the leaked files the second Jace gave the signal. Jace cleared his throat, the mic humming. Y'all know me as Jace Malone, the guy who built Bet Savvy and maybe partied too hard. You've read the headlines: crooked gambler, washed up playboy. Take your pick. Most of it's bullshit, but some of it's true. I've made mistakes, big ones. But rigging bets? Fucking over my team? That's not me. And dragging Talia Brooks into this mess? That's where I draw the line. The crowd murmured, cameras flashing. Talia kept her face neutral, but her heart was pounding. Jace turned to her, his voice softening. Talia's not my employee, not my prop, not some gold digger like the tabloids say. She's the realest person I know, stronger, smarter, and way out of my league. I brought her into my world to save my ass, but she's the one who saved me, and I love her for it. The room went dead quiet. Talia's breath caught, her eyes locking on his. Love? He hadn't said that before, not out loud. Not like this. She felt the weight of every stare, every camera, but all she saw was Jace, raw and unfiltered, laying it all bare. He turned back to the crowd, his voice hard again. Vanessa Klein tried to bury us. She faked emails, smeared Talia, and thought she could buy her off. She was wrong. We've got proof emails, records all dropping online right now. Check your inboxes. Vanessa's the crook, not me. Rico, on cue, hit send. The journalists' phones buzzed, and the room erupted in chaos, reporters shouting, investors whispering, cameras zooming. Talia stepped to the mic, her voice steady despite the knot in her chest. I'm Talia Brooks. I'm a barista, a dancer, a sister, and a daughter. I took Jace's deal to save my mom's life, not to play his game. Vanessa Klein called me a pawn. She's wrong. I'm here because I choose to be, and I'm not going anywhere. The crowd roared, some cheering, some booing, but Talia didn't flinch. Jace took her hand, squeezing it, and for the first time, they felt like a team. The fallout was instant. Vanessa's empire crumbled as the leaked files spread like wildfire. Investors pulled out, the feds launched an investigation, and Twitter turned her into a meme graveyard. Number Vanessa Klein trended for days, with Rico proudly claiming credit for a viral gif of Vanessa's face on a sinking ship. Jace's board backed off, Bet Savvy's stock stabilized, and the press started calling him a comeback king. But the real win was quieter. Talia and Jace went back to the hospital that night, hand in hand. Diane was awake, propped up with a tray of Jell-O she was ignoring. Amara was there, sketching in the corner, her eyes lighting up when she saw them. T, you were on television, she squealed, hugging Talia. You look badass. Language, kid, Talia said, ruffling her hair, but she was smiling. Diane looked at Jace, her expression softer than before. You did good, Malone, she said. But you're still on thin ice. Wouldn't have it any other way, Mrs. Brooks, Jace said, grinning. Diane turned to Talia. You love this boy? Talia hesitated, her cheeks warm. She glanced at Jace, who was watching her like his whole world hung on her answer. Yeah, she said finally, her voice quiet but sure. I do. Jace's face split into a grin and he pulled her close, kissing her forehead. Took you long enough, he murmured. Shut up, jackpot, she said. But she didn't pull away. The weeks that followed were a blur of hope and heartbreak. Diane's surgery was scheduled, funded by Jace's company and a crowdfunding campaign. Talia started with her dance students. The kids, led by Dre, turned it into a viral challenge, voguing to raise money. Jace even joined, his terrible moves earning thousands in donations and a few million laughs online. I'm a philanthropist now, he bragged, dodging Talia's playful swat. But love couldn't stop time. Diane's surgery went well, but the cancer had spread too far. The doctors gave her months, maybe less. Talia spent every moment she could at the hospital, holding her mom's hand, telling stories about the studio, Amara's art, even Jace's awful cooking. Jace was there too, bringing takeout, reading to Amara, or just sitting in silence when Talia needed it. He didn't try to fix Ith, knew he couldn't, but he stayed, and that was enough. One night, they took Diane to the dance studio, her wheelchair parked by the mirrors. The kids put on a show, Dre leading a routine that had Diane clapping, her laugh weak but real. Jace and Talia danced too, not perfect but together, their bodies moving like they'd finally found the same rhythm. Diane watched, tears in her eyes, and whispered to Monique, "My girl's gonna be okay." Diane passed a month later, quietly, with Talia, Amara, and Monique at her side. Jace was there, holding Talia's hand, saying nothing because words weren't enough. The funeral was small, just family and the dance crew, with Rico DJing a playlist of Diane's favorite Motown hits. Amara placed a drawing of their mom by the casket, her face bright with a smile that lived on in her girls. Talia didn't break, not publicly. She carried Diane's strength, pouring it into a new dream, a community dance program for kids like Dre, funded by Jace's company and her own hustle. She and Amara moved into a bigger apartment, one with a room for art and memories. Jace was there most nights, cooking, badly, arguing over music, or just holding her when the grief hit. One evening, they ended up at the studio, the place where it all started. The mirrors were clean now, the floors polished, thanks to a grant Talia had won. They danced to a slow Alicia Keys track, her head on his chest, his arms around her waist. "You know," Jace said, his voice low, "I offered you $1 million to fake this. Best bet I ever lost." Talia laughed, soft and warm. "You didn't lose, jackpot. You won me." He kissed her, slow and deep, the kind of kiss that said forever without saying anything at all. Outside, the city hummed, but in here, it was just them, two people who'd bet on each other and won something bigger than money. Yo, fam, that's the end of Jace and Talia's wild ride. From a drunk bet in a bar to a love that kicked the world's ass, they proved that real shit love, family, fighting for what matters beats any contract. If this story hit you in the feels, smash that subscribe button and drop a comment. Who's your MVP? Talia's fire, Jace's comeback, or Rico's chaotic vibes? Thanks for rolling with us, and stay tuned for more stories that'll make you laugh, cry, and scream. What the hell just happened? Let's keep it real.